Good morning, everyone. Today is Monday, the 25th of March, 2019. I'm Roy Potter. Welcome to the Potter Expositor. Yes, I know it's Monday. I'm not going to be able to do this tomorrow morning. I might be able to do an impromptu type of thing off my phone, but I won't be able to do a formal setup like this and, all that kind of thing. Watch the chat, that kind of stuff. So, welcome to this particular broadcast, I guess I'll call it. Live stream. Notice I've called this not revenge but justice, and I also, as I said, I'm going to keep Colonel Cooper. I guess I need to point up this way. This is really hard to do, by the way. I can see why I'd never be able to be a weather guy. Colonel Cooper, right there. I'm going to reiterate because this is going to reverberate through everything I have to say today that the criminal must be taught to fear his victim. The criminal must be taught to fear his victim. The state can't protect you. As a matter of fact, often the state is the tyrant. Soviet Union, China, Cambodia, Turkey during the Armenian genocide, etc., etc. Often the government is the criminal. And hopefully in the United States, we're going to put a stop to that. And this is up to Trump. He made a promise. That he was going to restore law and order. And that doesn't start at the bottom with the little people. It starts at the top, President Trump. And you must, with all that we have seen, I've been calling out the intelligence community and all of its appendages for years now. That it was corrupt. And now here it is plainly manifest for everyone to see. And if you do not take action, you're going to violate a promise not just to yourself, if that's what you did, and violate a promise to the people that supported you, that realized that our republic was in such danger. But you're going to turn your back on God as well. And in that regard, I tweeted it out this morning, and I'm just going to mention the scriptures here right now. You've often heard me talk about King Saul. King Saul was in Chronicles in the 1st and 2nd Samuel, primarily 1st and 2nd Samuel. And Saul wasn't even a Judahite. He was a Benjamite. But he was, and that's an interesting take too, but let's not go down that road. He was made king. He was a good man, but power corrupted him, and the fear of losing that power corrupted him. And he surrounded himself with some corrupt people as well. He kicked David out, actually started hunting him down. Now, I'm not saying Trump's, that kind of a person, but what I do want to say is this. God told Saul that he needed to obey God's commandments, and that means commandments to Saul, not just the 10 Commandments and the Torah and all that. And he told Samuel, because Samuel needed to destroy the enemies of Israel. So for lots of reasons, very similar circumstances to what we have today, except ours is internal, although he had some internal problems as well. So Saul went up against the Amalekites, but instead of killing the king of the Amalekites like God commanded him to do, this king was an old friend of his. That's really what it came down to. And so he spared him. He didn't kill him, which, of course, opens up the door to the same things in the future. So Samuel told Saul that he had lost his throne. It would be given to another, and that other was David. But more than that, Saul risked the very existence of his own people. And Trump is in that position right now if he fails to go after the people both in this country and abroad. I don't mean he needs to start war overseas, but he can cut off diplomatic relations. And I know these things are going to be tricky because we don't want to, cut off our allies completely. But who really are our allies? That's the question. Certainly not the British Crown or the British government. So, in reference to this title, not revenge but justice. We're not looking for revenge. Everybody says, you can't, you'll look like that you're going after your political enemies. No, there's a difference between going after your political enemy because they opposed you and going after someone who is a political enemy who committed crimes that can be proven. Unlike President Trump, no crimes that you committed, but they came after you. If you fail to follow through on your promise, and I don't know, Barr might be going down this road. Joe, I had a text from my Republican insider that I found this morning. I didn't hear it last night. And he said that Joe DeGeneva, I guess he was on an interview last night. I don't remember which one. But he said that Barr is going to do this. Barr is going to do it. And there were some other interesting things. I think I'll read that to you because, he sends me some good information. And so I'm going to quote him on this. This is what he says. Watch Joe DeGeneva on Bret Baier. Joe just hammered away and stated that Barr kept Rosenstein on board, and by doing that forced Rosenstein at every turn to fess up and come clean. Remember I said Rosenstein may have been kept on because he knew the inside scoop? Remember when I said that? Turns out it's true. So let me repeat that again. He kept Rosenstein on board, and by doing that, forced Rosenstein at every turn to fess up and come clean or else face the consequences. Joe looked like the cat that Barr the canary. I'm not sure what he means there. He's typing quick. While explaining this, Joe was over the top pleased and states that he fully expects Barr to appoint a federal grand jury to haul these traitors in to face the music. I am beginning to think that DeGeneva has either a direct pipeline to Barr's plans or a surrogate of Barr who is briefing him. Joe just seems way too on top of these moves. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. DeGeneva was just bursting with confidence about these dirtbags facing a federal grand jury. Not revenge, but justice. President Trump, they tried to take not just you down, but they've been working for decades to take our country down. We need to return to our constitutional republic. We must, or we have no value in the world other than just empire building for the sake of gain and power. And that's not what we should be about. It has been, but it shouldn't be. No, it's worse than that. It must not be unless we turn around and get destroyed. Like I say, we're facing a lot of internal problems right now. We followed these politically correct lines. We promulgate and we promote perversions, and we kill the unborn and the newborn. Shouldn't even be a question that the DOD and the DOJ should enter those places that seek to take away our Bill of Rights at any level, from free speech to the Second Amendment on down, just the mere right to life, which really isn't mentioned in the Bill of Rights, but it's intimated, of course, by logic and reason. So if you're going to protect us in our constitutional rights like Eisenhower did in the South, you need to act. It might be that that's on the table now. I don't know. We've heard some things that you were waiting for the Mueller report so that they couldn't say you were interfering with it. But look, they're doing it anyway. And they're never going to stop because they're criminal, demonic, evil people. I don't know what else to call them. And you cannot reason with them. You cannot reach across the aisle. Even Dan Bongino said the time for negotiation is over with. DeGeneva has said the time for negotiation is over with. That certainly is on their part. Brennan orchestrated this thing under Obama. Probably told Obama how to go about it. Brennan needs to be hung by the neck till dead. After he's, arrested, tried, and convicted. But he needs to be hung in front of it needs to be a public execution, something we haven't done in a long time. He needs to be hung. Probably a good place would be, as I said, right in front of the White House. No, it probably couldn't be done from a lamppost, but you could build a gallows there and execute him there on the Mall or right in front of the White House. He's the first one that needs to go up. Probably actually be, probably McCabe and Strzok and Page. But let's not go after the little people only, President Trump. This is not revenge. This is justice. So go look up what happened to King Saul when he did not Mercy is a great thing, but there's a time and a place for it. Mercy and justice must balance out. And that perfect balance is beauty. And if you want beauty in this country, if you want to return it to what it should have been, you must execute judgment, justice. 1 Samuel 15, verses 8 to 11. Really the whole chapter. 1 Samuel 15, but especially 8 to 11. That sets up what happens in 2 Samuel 7, particularly 7:15. Do not renege on your promises. Do not shake hands with the New World Order any more than you need to politically to operate this. We've got to give you latitude to work within what you have. But you've made some big mistakes. And I'm not here to grind those out. There are plenty of other people that are willing to point them out. I'm not going to go there today. So not revenge, but justice. You're not going after these people because they're your political enemies. You're going after them because they committed crimes against the American people. And there were people at Bundy Ranch and the Hammond Ranch, that knew about this whole thing with Uranium One and the stealing of resources from the American people, as I've talked about plenty of times before. And there have been other instances of similar things. And we stood up even before you did. The American people, I've been calling out the federal government and the intelligence community for decades, but particularly in the last decade. They are the evil secret societies of the last days. You know, you can talk about Masons and all this other stuff, but the actual apparatus that operates it, that does all of the damage, is the IC. The Five Eyes is bad, and you know it as well as I do. They even came after you. And if they're willing to come after you, think what they have done to the American people, large and small. Okay. I was listening to a lot of commentary last night, as you can probably imagine, and they brought up the Countering Foreign Information Act that, I think that's the name of it, that Obama signed just before he left office, under the pretense that it was to stop Russian influence on our elections. But that was all a ruse. It's just an excuse. Because then, as you saw what they did, they said that we, the American people that stood against Hillary Clinton and voted Trump in office, that we were influenced by the Russians, or that Russian bots got to us, or that we were Russian agents. So in fact, what that did, that was used against us, more so than any foreign power. This legalese that they do is tricky, and the DOJ should have been there to protect us against that, even against that encroachment by the president, and they did not do it. Why? Well, you can't expect Loretta Lynch and Eric Holder to do those things, because they're as evil, maybe more so, than Obama himself. But now it's time. There are evil people in the Congress. I realize you cannot arrest a sitting senator or congressman or congresswoman, whatever, while they're in session. But we have to take them out, President Trump. You have to go after them. If they can come after the President of the United States, a sitting President of the United States, and threaten to indict him, they can't. Well, I suppose they could get around it. Or impeach him. You can certainly go after a senator or a congressman that has committed treason and high crimes. I don't want to hear this nonsense anymore. You're going to tell me that you can't arrest a congressman who takes a gun into the Congress and threatens to shoot another congressman because the Congress is in session? Consistency cries for this. Justice. Hypocrisy denies it. This isn't revenge. They tried to destroy our nation, our Congress. Our Congress, members of our Congress, our Senate, our bureaucrats, our IC, try to destroy our country and institute a fascist dictatorship. Communist, fascist, who knows? It's an authoritarian dictatorship. It's not revenge to punish those who did this. It's not magnanimous to allow them to go away because they're political enemies. No, that's sowing the seeds of a future war and destruction. We've got to do this now. No hesitation. No hesitation. No postponement. Hopefully DeGenevieve is right. Hopefully Barr has grand juries convened right now going through all this. And it better take everybody from Obama and Clinton on down in one way or another. I have a suspicion. I can't prove it. It might just be that he's this stupid. Brennan predicted that there were going to be more indictments from Mueller. And of course, we know that's not true. This CIA director, can you imagine? I mean, look at this guy. Look at the operations he's put together. Look at his asinine discussions when he's with the media and elsewhere. This guy was in control of the CIA, and we want to trust the CIA? The intelligence community? That is the example? Oh, I know, the run-of-the-mill agents, they're not bad. I'm tired of hearing that. Now, there are some good ones, but they've had 2 decades, and I've been saying this, 2 decades at a minimum, to load those IC agencies, including the FBI, the DOJ, and the State Department, up. No, we could go with all the others, too. The Bureau of Land Management, the Social Security Administration, the IRS. All you get the idea. They've had 2 decades minimum to load those agencies up with their ilk, their like kind, and you can better believe they've done it. I've seen them do it. Can you clean it all out? Probably not, but you can show that if somebody doesn't follow their oath of office and they tweak the law or do something under color of law, that the Department of Justice gets cleaned out first. And then they go after all these other bad actors. So Brennan says there are going to be more indictments under the Mueller probe, and there weren't. So what I'm thinking is that Brennan got stung. He was probably told by somebody on the inside of the Mueller investigation in some way, shape, or form that there were more indictments coming. And I don't know how this worked, but could very well be it was to identify Wiseman, and that's why Wiseman left early. I'm just guessing. So Brennan's a fool. And he's endangered our country not just from his incompetence, but from his treason. He needs to be hung, and the sooner the better. And for everyone to see, not in some secret chamber in a prison somewhere. I know we've been against open public executions for, probably, a long time. But this one's got to be an exception. And some others might need to follow too, but I'm not going to say who I think those should be. But certainly Brennan. Mueller's a coward. I keep hearing these people say, they keep, even on Fox, our revered prosecutor Mueller. Revered, have they looked at his past, what he's done? I don't care. He did serve in the Marine Corps, got decorated. Everything since then, he's been a jackass and a liar and a criminal. Everything. 9/11, covering that up. I could go on, okay? Carrying the yellow cake to Putin. I mean, we could go on and on. Orchestrating this bogus investigation, which was nothing more than a cover for a coup and to cover the crimes of himself and his cronies in the Democrat Party and the New World Order. But he's a coward. He wrote that report. And I've heard good prosecutors, Greg Jarrett talked about this, and so did some others. He wrote that report. A prosecutor either says indict or not indict. You don't go in and say you're not going to indict somebody, but say, but I didn't exonerate him either. That's a cop-out, and he did it for what exactly is happening now. I'm surprised that Barr let it go forward, but maybe it's to punish Mueller in the long run. Time for a sip of coffee. Mueller should not be a friend of Barr's, professionally or otherwise, and I know they have been for a long time. But here we go. Barr falls into the Saul thing too, because Agag, I think that was his name, king of the Amalekites, was a friend of Saul's, and that's why he didn't act on him. Saul didn't act on him. You must, Barr and Trump, you must act against these traitors and these criminals. But Mueller says, well, we couldn't find anything to indict him on, but we're not going to exonerate him either. What a cheap shot. And it was surprising, like I said, that Barr put that in his report, his little letter to Congress. I'm surprised he went there, but like I said, it might be to really take down Mueller in the long run. I don't know. But look what it's caused. Now everybody's honing in on he's not exonerated. And some of these people like Schiff and Nadler are frickin' attorneys. Gee, why does that not surprise us? So I guess the big question is who is Mueller trying to please? He knew he didn't have anything, so he's trying to keep the door open. We knew he would. We knew he'd bring dirt out one way or another so that the Democrats and Hillary could still, and the leftist Marxists, I've got to include it because that's really what they are, needed more dirt to throw up on this thing. And of course, they're after Trump, but in reality, they're after us. You must exercise your First and Second Amendments today. You must, especially, and I've said this before, here's Colonel Cooper right there. Let's see if I can point to this thing. There he is, right there, Colonel Cooper. You must, if you don't have one, go out and buy an AR-15 today. There was somebody who was offering, one of the YouTube retired colonels was offering an AR-15, I think, for some program. If you do something, he was going to help you get an AR-15. You need to go out and buy that AR-15 today and tell Dianne Feinstein to stick it where the sun doesn't shine, and that if she tries to take it, you're not going to let her just have it. And then she needs to be gone after for a violation of the oath. They keep trying to say the Constitution is a living document, they can alter it. No, no, no. And anybody who professes that position should be held in contempt against their oath of office, in violation of it, and prosecuted. If they try to touch the unalienable rights of the people, the God-given, government-protected by contract unalienable rights that are non-negotiable, they need to be prosecuted. That's a crime in office. But I'm on one today. Okay, so that's really all I had. I wanted to call President Trump out. Tell him that this isn't revenge, this isn't persecuting or coming after your political enemies. These are people that were involved in a criminal, treasonous coup. And there were different levels of their culpability. Some, they did commit treason. Others, they just did stupid, criminal things. And the IC was behind it all. Don't think that President Obama wasn't part of the IC. He was a long time ago. If there was a Manchurian candidate, he was it. All right. Like I said, I'm not going to be a long-winded guy this morning if I can prevent it. Let's see. I know, Brandon Joseph, I know he's passing gun laws. I've called this out before. The red flag laws, the bump stock deal, that was wrong. Absolutely 100% wrong. Because it starts to go down that road. Trump's done some really stupid, bad things. I know. And I'm not happy. Okay, I don't even want to get into the Q thing. As far as I'm concerned, that whole thing was shown to be a scam a long time ago. I'm tired of dealing with it. I'm tired of people thinking that has. I mean, if they want to do it, that's fine, but don't bring it here. By the way, if I didn't tell you all, good morning, good morning. Guten Morgen, yes. Thank you, Seaweed12. Is that how you say that? Okay, good morning again to everybody. Don't this Trump 2020 thing, Angelina Sanchez, I appreciate what you're saying. Don't rest on our laurels. This is going to be a bad time. This is going to be very difficult. That's another reason why Trump needs to go after these people. You don't understand, I don't think, how pervasive the leftist Marxist mentality is now in this country. And the smearing that they've done against President Trump and people like us. I've seen good, intelligent people. I've told you about members in my family. Good, intelligent people. Master's degrees, stuff like this, working for the government at the highest levels, just under SES, all of this kind of stuff. And they went along with this. They believed it. This is a dangerous thing. They put reason, logic, and our constitutional republic in the second seat because they hated Trump so badly and our position. People have called us names, grabbed our hats, hit us with bike locks, shot us, beat us up. This isn't going to be easy. Trump's not going to win by a landslide in 2020. This is going to be a fight. And if he doesn't go after the coup plotters, he's going to lose a lot of people in his base. Do you understand that? If he doesn't go after them, if he and Barr don't go after these coup plotters and these criminals in government, secure the First and Second Amendments, not just on college campuses, but enforce it by the DOD and the DOJ, just like Eisenhower did in the South on civil rights laws. That's what it's going to take. And if he does anything less, he's going to lose more and more of his base. And he will lose the 2020 election. It's not a handout. It's not in the bag. John Tea Party says, you are more credible to outsiders when you wear the tie, etc. I suppose, John, you're not an outsider. As you say, you're here quite often, I guess. Versus the on the road with the hat, etc. This is feedback we get. I like you either way. Hey, I don't care. I'm not here to please anybody. Other than when I'm in the formal situation like this, I like to try to respect my audience if I can. There have been times I can't, okay? I didn't do this for the longest time. I just threw it up, right? But, I try to give a little respect to the audience, and that's the reason why I do it. But do I really care what people think? No, I wouldn't do this if I cared what people think. But thank you for your compliment. I appreciate it. Yeah, I agree. MSNBC, CNN, ABC, CBS, all those. Tony Blassetti, yes. They need to be implicated in this thing. I mean, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. This was sedition. There were people in the IC, and I won't go into all the details, but when I started pointing out the problems with the Boston bombing and all of that, there were people that accusing me of sedition for calling the government and these three-letter agencies out for their crimes. Oh, I came down on Obama too, but even as much as I despised Obama, I didn't threaten him the way people have threatened Trump. And I didn't threaten Democrats and those people like they have threatened us. There is even no comparison. I was seditious? No. I'm speaking my mind. I'm saying what it is. I'm not orchestrating a deceitful campaign to unseat a sitting president or to take down the constitutional republic. Quite the opposite. I'm standing against three-letter agencies that are trying to destroy or go along with the destruction of the constitutional republic and the rights of the people. Big difference. No, I'm not mad at you. I'm sorry. Tony, I'm not mad at you, okay? I get wound up. It's like I saw Alex the other day. He says, I'm an American. I'm not the traitor. And yet people are pointing their fingers at me. I'm not the traitor. Did you see him do that? They turn the tables and they call you what they themselves are. I could tell you stories, both personal and professional, but I'm not going to waste that time today. Margaret Dell, the MSM left-wing talking heads will not accept the findings from the Mueller report. This is not over by any means. We still are on the roller coaster with an endless ride. Right, and that's why they just need to start arresting people. Yeah, they just need to start arresting people. Come hell or high water, let the chips fall where they may, because this will never stop. You're right. Margaret, you're absolutely right. When you're on the battlefield and you're shooting at the enemy and they're shooting at you, what makes them stop? Overwhelming firepower, maneuver that puts them in a bad situation, mass. In other words, force. These people will not understand anything less than, I've said that for a long time. It's the only thing they will understand. And it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy that it has come to this. But the survival of the decent people in this nation, in this land, requires that these criminals and traitors in the MSM, in the bureaucracies, in the government, in private corporations, in the social media, everywhere. Anybody who can be linked into this thing in any way. It's one thing to have an ideology and to try to do something about it. It's another thing to try to destroy our constitutional republic, which gave them the right to speak in the first place. Then they try to use that against us. That's a real traitor. The traitor from within, in fact, yes, does destroy you from within. They're more of a dangerous enemy than the soldier on the other side of the battlefield, who's usually there not by his own choice anyway. Yes, justice for the victim. That's exactly right. Yeah, John Tea Party, you're right. They're going to try to charge him with obstruction because Mueller has opened that door, and frankly, Barr did too, but maybe Barr's just being honest. But there is no obstruction. There is none. Yeah, they're gonna go for it. They're gonna go for it, but there is none. The thing that bothers me is Trump. Trump is now. He's been patient. He's waited until they could fully expose themselves, and of course all that. I think waiting any longer is a very, very bad idea. Brennan has friends. He didn't go to Russia for nothing. He didn't have these ties with MI6 for nothing. Obstruction. It's funny, and I could bring up, well, Obama, how come he wasn't found? Well, this tit for tat thing isn't going to work because they're not going to look at it that way. I had a very good family friend that was coming unglued on Trump for these efforts he's been making in diplomacy in different places, Russia in particular. And how horrible it was that he was doing this. And yet when Obama was making the Iran deal, when that was coming out that he was doing that while he was president, this particular person said, how dare the Republicans and the people in this country call to task President Obama when he has the right to make these negotiations. Yeah, they always work it when the shoe is on the other guy's foot, not theirs. The hypocrisy by otherwise reasonably intelligent people. I saw somebody say, I think it was last night, and I can't remember. Forget the name of the program. Sorry, but he said, I think it's IYI is his acronym, and what it means is intelligent yet idiots. In other words, educated idiots. Yes, they're everywhere. Diane Nolan, very good. You say, I believe Trump will go after them. He has to. There's no making America great when these criminals are free to do this again. I agree. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. Doc Gunslinger, you're addressing Tony Blassetti, but I agree with you. Doc Gunslinger says, what has he done? Talking about Trump. I've heard the promises, but nothing has been done. And that's true. Quite the opposite. And then he makes a couple of points. Where is Trump on the Second Amendment infringements? Where is Trump on the First Amendment? The only thing he has done is sign that executive order saying that colleges that infringe on it will lose their funding. Bah, ha, ha, ha. They'll tie that up into court for years. Nothing short of the DOJ and the DOD acting are going to change this. Every time somebody tries to infringe on somebody's rights, the DOJ and the DOD should be involved. See, that's why they kept us tied up in these foreign wars. Because then they couldn't use, they'll say, oh, but you can't use the military on our land because of in the country, because of posse comitatus. You're going to tell me that if we were the subject of a victim of a foreign invasion, that our government, our DOD can't defend us on our own soil? Bullshit. And again, I'm not angry at you, Doc Gunslinger, or anybody else. I'm talking to the establishment. Okay, I've heard this bullshit for so long. What the hell was the Civil War? Yeah, I know that there were laws passed after that about, and Supreme Court decisions, and I can't remember the name of them right now, about citizens not being tried in military tribunals. But there are exceptions, despite all the people that say that, no, that can never happen. Yes, it can, but it has to be on a very specific circumstance. But I don't even care about that. They just need to go. Trump just needs to go after these people. What do you mean, back on the random knowledge? Why do people say things like this? I'm not going to lose my temper. What? Is Roy back on the Trump train again? Lots of laughs. What is wrong with you people? How many times have I said, I am not a worshiper of personality. I am not into cult of personality. I follow principle. King Saul is a good example. If you've never read it, Random Knowledge, you need to go look at it. When Saul did the right thing, God commended him for it, and so did the prophet Samuel. But when he got off the rails, he was called to task. And I will do that, bedamned anybody's opinions. We cannot worship our leaders without thinking. We cannot be blind followers. We are the boss, not the people we elect to represent us. They work for us, not the other way around. And when Trump goes off the rails like he did on the bump stock ban and the red flag laws, now he's playing with his DACA stuff, you better damn well believe I'm going to call him out on the carpet for it. No, I don't trust him. I don't trust him. And if we do trust him, we're fools. I told you, I will give him compliments when he does the right thing, but when he doesn't, I'll come after him. I'll speak my mind. To do anything else is foolish, un-American, and dangerous. A few weeks ago, I said I was done with him. And I am. I'm not following him blindly. What was the situation? Do you remember? He said about all the censorship on the social media platforms. We have to be good. Just be good. No. You can be good, but you can't sit there and not invoke antitrust laws, Trump, and going after people who are violating the First Amendment. You can't just be good. That was a cop-out. And if he's not willing to support us in our Bill of Rights, our unalienable rights, which he has proven he has a problem with, you better damn well believe I'm going to call him out on it. Don't do this to me again. What's your name? Random Knowledge? You know what? I'm even putting your name down. If I see you do this again, I'm knocking you. Okay? I'm done with this kind of crap. You either put on your thinking cap or leave, okay? You're right, Nuclear Skull. It is a divide and conquer tactic. You can't trust Trump all the way. You can't. I'm sorry, you can't. You can't trust anybody. I know about the left-right, the false left-right paradigm. I know all that. But Trump was an outsider. At least that's what it appears to be. And we as a people have to make choices based upon what's right and wrong. And if they deceive us in the process, then God damn them. But at least we tried to do the right thing. Okay, I've been going for 41 minutes. Yeah, I hope empty mountain pockets, wood and nickel. I hope Rosenstein doesn't get out of jail free card, but it might be that this is kind of like what prosecutors do, right? If you do this, we'll lighten your sentence. We'll give you an out. We won't go after the whole thing. That's almost what this looks like to me. Bar to Rosenstein, because he has a new attorney general waiting to be confirmed, right? Assistant Attorney General Rosen. Isn't that one? Rosenstein and Rosen? Yeah, weird. Okay. Yeah, and I have to agree with you, Doc Gunslinger. Of course, the Republicans say they're going to do things, and they get in there and they do nothing. They are placebos. They're the people with the false hopium. Okay, they are. I realize that. We have no friends there. Hopefully, we do in Trump to some extent, but that's a whole different game at that level. We really mean nothing to these people. I don't care how much they say they love us or, whatever. We're still being invaded. We're still having our rights infringed. We go with the best we can, but really in the end, and I've said it before, we are on our own. If we get a little reprieve by somebody like Trump for a little while, great. But as we pointed out, that hasn't been a very good track record. It's starting to come out now that the economy's not as good as they've been telling us too. And I've known that. How long have I been saying I'm not seeing it on the ground? I don't like rhetoric without it happening on the ground. And the rhetoric I see about the economy, I see stores closing, retail outlets everywhere. It's not just the internet. Service businesses too. So something's not kosher. Andrew Brezino. Hi, Roy. When did the arrest start? What's my barometer? My barometer is I don't believe anything until I see an arrest. If they let these people go, that means they don't give a shit about us, and they don't give a shit about the constitutional republic. All they care about is themselves. I've said that for a long time. I don't believe anything until I see some arrests. So we'll see. Joe DeGeneva seems to believe that Barr is working with some grand juries behind the scenes. That still doesn't guarantee any actual action. But you better believe you step out of line even a little bit and they come after you. Government has become oppressive, tyrannical, and it violates its own charter, the Constitution that brought it into being. It has violated its own contract. Acts of Congress do not supersede the Constitution, and Marbury versus Madison explained that. But the government, the guys that have the guns and the weapons and the bombs and all that, they're the ones that call the shots. And it shows they're evil, evil, evil. Yeah, our only hope really is God. That's why I say if Trump really does believe in God, he's got to understand some of these things. Let's see if he has the courage. What do I do in my prayer at the end of these things? That God will give him the power of discernment to know the right from the wrong and do the right thing, have the courage to do it. That doesn't mean he will, because he has to accept it. And we can pray for people all the time, but God doesn't strive with man forever. There comes a point where God says, okay, have it your way. I'm done with you. He did that with David. And I've talked about that story before. When David was counting Israel, God said, no, you don't do that. And he did it anyway. Where did the plague start? With David? No, with the people and the nation. That's what we're worried about. Okay, I don't want to. I don't want to talk about the coming civil war. I do still see it. The Patriot Nurse talks about it, and she's right. I put it up here some time ago. She's right. All the signs are there. And granted, if Trump moves on these people, it's going to turn into a shooting war in the government. I know that, but it's gotten to the point where we have no choice now. We cannot be faint-hearted at this point. Yeah, I know about Ruby Ridge, Evans Court. I've talked about it before. Barr's background with, defending Law and Oriuchi and the whole thing at Ruby Ridge, and he was involved in a lot of other things. The Patriot Act. He believes in surveillance. He thinks the Fourth Amendment is a hindrance to the federal government. Tough shit. That's what it's there for. It's like these people don't understand anything. All they understand is, okay, all right. I don't want to get too upset today. I've really got some other things I need to do. I'm just going to speed down through here and see if there's anything I can address real quick that is necessary. I mean, you're all necessary. Forgive me, but we just don't. I don't want this to go over an hour today for a lot of reasons. For one thing, we need to keep track of. Again, I'm just a commentator. I'm not really reporting. I'm not a journalist, so to speak. I mean, I've uncovered a few things. Obviously, I have a few good contacts, but my thing is to try to make a conversation, to get the dialogue, to open up and see the awful situation we're in. That's really what I'm after. So I want you to follow what's happening in the next few days. Well, from all the time, of course, but I especially today, I think there's some things that we need to watch, and so I don't want to take a whole lot of time here. Lee Stranahan was on the Ukrainian thing years ago, and then finally it's come out, and there's this war going on between Stranahan and Bongino and Fox News, and it's very sad. I respect you, Lee Stranahan. I'm going to say it again. You've been put on. You deserve the credit to survive, not just to survive, but to thrive for your work. And credit, and no, you're not getting it, and I feel bad about that. Do I hate Dan Bongino? No. Dan's probably he probably sees it differently. I'm not going to try to, I couldn't anyway, be the referee between those two. But that's the thing that you see in our conservative side of things. We're our own people, and sometimes we hang ourselves. We really do. Thanks for all you do, Lee. Even though you won't contact me. I've contacted Dan Bongino and Lee Stranahan, a couple of others, to see if of course they're not going to want to come on this. I'm not big enough for that. But it would be nice to have, a return tweet or something, message saying, thanks, but, it's really not my cup of tea, but, keep up the good job, whatever. From a well-known person, I won't say their name, but two groups of people. I've received some really nasty stuff from them. I don't know. It really makes me wonder if they're as intelligent as they seem to be, or as patriotic as they seem to be, or as God-fearing as they seem to be. Because what happened, without any evidence, the accusations that were made, and I'm talking about well-known YouTubers and Twitter people. I'm not talking about the insane people that are out there just making crap up all the way. I mean these are legitimate sources, and even they. I don't think I'm that bad of a communicator, and I won't go into any more detail. But one was just an outright false accusation, and I called them on it. I said, show it to me, and they couldn't. And then they said, well, somebody else told me about it. And I said, so you're such a great investigator, right? You couldn't check that out for yourself before you accused me of it? There have been some other things like that. So, all right, trust Brennan, General Jones. I'm sure that's a joke. Yeah. Yeah, put us hanging on pay-per-view. Mountain Pockets wouldn't put Brennan's hanging on pay-per-view. charge admission to the public execution. I think we probably have a problem with that, but I get the point. That's pretty good. Okay. Bill Richardson, you're saying I should name the names of these lowlives. Let me tell you who has, okay? Because, again, if I do that here, I'll be here all day on just that. AIM, American Intelligence Media, has put out lists. You can go there and look at it on their YouTube site, and I forget their website right now. But AIM, the American Intelligence Media, has listed all these people and what their positions were and what they did. They're actively doing that now. So go to AIM. They have that. Okay. So I'm not going to repeat their work. They've done really good work there. No, I'm not. No. Ben Lundbach? Hell no, I'm not admitting Q is legit. Go away, Bill. No, I don't do anything with Q. You still don't get what that is. That is a Democratic, leftist, Marxist thing under Hillary. They know what's happening on the internet because she has control of the digital internet keys. She got them from the patent office back in the 90s. No, Q hasn't been right on anything. Look, all they did was a year and a half ago, they started making claims. And then when those claims didn't come true, like Hillary's going to be arrested on the 1st of November or whatever day it was, John Podesta's in Gitmo. I could go on and on and on. No. All they did is when things start to look like they're going to happen, they repeat their predictions. No, Q is a lying LARP. I like Paul Ferber, but he's into the Q. I'm sorry. He and I disagree on that. You don't know the history of that, or you wouldn't say that. Q has done more damage to the MAGA movement and Trump than the frickin' Democrats have. But you can't see it because you're a cult of personality. Oh, but Q is anonymous. Yeah, right. It's not General Flynn. It's not. And it's certainly as hell not Trump. Unless Trump is a Democrat and he did all of this to put us in a state of placebo, he being a placebo, so that he could get away with doing New World Order stuff in fact while making us believe that he was doing things behind the scenes. That's what Q is. It's either that or it's totally against Trump. No in between. Sorry. Don't ever bring Q up here again. I will. I'm telling y'all, you bring Q up here again and I will block you. That is a cult. And I called it in November of 2017. "54 minutes. Yes, buy more guns. Buy more guns." That's what Kurt Schlichter said. Said, buy more guns, buy more ammunition. And it's really more of a political statement than it is anything else. Okay? Of course you want to defend yourself. Don't think you're going to go out and be Rambo and, fix the government. You're not going to be able to do that. Don't even think about that. But defending yourself against these hordes of bandits and rioters and leftist Marxists, yeah. Okay. Let me go to... I'm going to end on this because I think it's that important. I'm going to play this, which I made some time ago about the Second Amendment. I want you to see it again. Okay, here we go, and then I'll be right back. Okay. I just had to do it again because it's that important. I'm going to reiterate it one more time and then I'll say goodbye. The criminal, the tyrant, must be taught to fear his victim. There will be nobody there to protect you. You must protect yourself. The victim must be his own defense. Again, the criminal, the tyrant, must be taught to fear his victim. Quote, change a little bit from Lieutenant Colonel, United States Marine Corps, retired Jeff Cooper. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for coming. Keep your eyes on the horizon, your ears to the ground. Go keep track of what's happening, but also enjoy life. Some of my family's out snowboarding today. Why am I not with them? Well, maybe I made a mistake, but this stuff seems very important to me. Prep, pray, stay out of the way. Yes, go buy guns and ammunition, right? Just like Colonel Schlichter says and Jeff Cooper shows us. God bless you. God bless yours. God bless the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America. And God bless the Second American Revolution. And may God bless President Donald Trump and all of his, here we go, righteous, righteous, righteous endeavors. And may the Lord give him the spirit of discernment that he will know the right from the wrong and then have the courage to do the right thing. And he's struggling with that. Thanks, everybody. I guess we'll see you in a few days.